We are very glad and honored today to have Mr. Bill Imada from Imada One Communications Group, the CEO, chairman, and founder of the company for over 25 years, to be here with us today. Mr. Imada, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to have this interview.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, we would like to ask you to tell us a little bit about how it all started and why did you want to do it?
Well, this started when I had an opportunity to work for a very large American beer company. And this American beer company asked a very large agency that was predominantly Caucasian and said, if you have 500,000 US dollars, how would you successfully reach Asians who live in America? And nobody in the company knew what to do. So they came to me and said, Bill, you're Asian. Can you please look at this proposal? And I said, sure, I'll look at the proposal. And when I looked at the proposal, I said, the proposal is due in a day and a half. Why did you wait so long? And they said, because nobody knew the answer on how to reach Asians that live in America. So we put together a proposal, and we went to visit with this large beer company, and this large beer company was very impressed with what we had to say and said, we'd like to hire you. And so they became our very first client and became very, very active in the Asian American market.
And that was over 25 years
That
ago.
was over 25 years ago. So they're the reason why we started.
Wow, that's amazing. So, can you generally describe what your company does for the client targeting Asian market now?
Sure. So our company focuses on the Asian and Asian American markets here in the United States, but we also do work with the Asian populations in Canada. The Asian population is the fastest growing population in the United States today. So our job is to convince major American corporations, but also Japanese, Korean, and Chinese companies to spend more money targeting Asians who live in this country. And so we spend a great amount of time showing corporations the value of Asian Americans, and particularly Chinese Americans, because Chinese Americans are the fastest growing portion of our population, of the spending power, the relationship building, the power of the Chinese media. We spend a lot of time convincing corporations of the value of their involvement in our marketplace. And a number of American Fortune 500 companies have embraced this idea and have entered the marketplace to reach more Chinese Americans in particular, but also other Asian Americans that live in this country.
So, what do you enjoy the most about your work?
I enjoy the value of not only convincing companies, but also touching and reaching different consumers. One of my favorite things to do is to be able to go to a company and say, we were able to impact this Chinese customer who immigrated from China or immigrated from Taiwan or immigrated from somewhere and found an opportunity to connect with an American product or service. And once that connection is made, there's magic. And companies will say, wow, there is true value in having a partnership with the community, in having a partnership with Chinese media, in having a partnership with corporations where everyone wins.
We know that your company, IW Group, is one of the largest marketing and PR firm in the U.S. targeting Asian community. So, can you tell us a little about who are your major clients? Maybe some of them.
Okay. Well, we represent a number of different companies. So some of our bigger clients include Walmart stores. We represent McDonald's. We represent Lexus. We represent the Walt Disney Company. We represent General Motors.
Wow.
We represent HBO. We represent Verizon. We represent MGM. And those are just a few of the companies. But we also have smaller clients as well. Companies like Sugarfina, which is a startup company that is doing very, very well in the Asian market. Shiseido, a Korean company called Amore. So small companies, large companies, and also some governmental agencies, federal agencies and state agencies have an interest in reaching Asian Americans.
Wow, all these are major big American corporations. So if you must answer, who is, the one that you are most proud of, the accomplishment?
My favorite client, well, I like all the clients, but I have to be politically correct. But my favorite client is Walt Disney.
Of course.
Because Walt Disney allows us to provide them feedback on the history of Asian culture, the history of Chinese culture. It allows us to provide our input on design and layout and style and the best way to reach Asians and Asian Americans, not only living in the United States, but living around the world. And so we have an opportunity to do things not only in the United States, but we also have an opportunity to do things in Asia, like in China, and in Canada as well. So Disney allows us an opportunity to reach and touch people from all around the world.
Right, speaking of magic, right? So since you already, chose your favorite client, how about your favorite media?
Our favorite media, we tend to like television.
Oh, of course.
And part of the reason why we like television, and of course print is important as well, in social media, is because print and broadcast are heavily relied on by the community. So regardless of whether or not you're advertising in mass market media, Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, Vietnamese people, they only trust their own media. And they trust the media for a variety of reasons. It's because they report the news and the information in a language that they understand and appreciate. They also report from a cultural point of view, which you cannot find in typical American media. And they also are very active in the communities they represent. And that's very, very important to companies, and it's also important to the consumer and business owners. So we rely very heavily on the ethnic media, the Chinese media in particular, because of that reason. But I have to also say that whenever we advertise in Chinese media, the results are unbelievable.
So what do you consider to be your main challenges targeting Asian market?
The main challenge is convincing companies that they have to come to markets like Las Vegas. Because when big companies think of Asian Americans, they only think of Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and Houston.
Right.
And so we have a very difficult time convincing them that places like Atlanta, Las Vegas, Dallas, Seattle are also important, because they don't see how quickly the populations are growing in places like Nevada. So we have a very difficult time convincing our clients to see the value in being in a market early. So why spend more money in a market that has lots of competition when you could spend less and get more value from a market that's growing? So to me, the best time to enter is when the population is small. Because who would have predicted that the Asian population in Nevada would go from 2% to 4% to 8% of the state population? And that's not insignificant, but a lot of times companies are fearful of entering new markets.
Well, you mentioned about earlier helping Disney to go to Asia. So I know you are third generation Japanese. We're also aware all these new immigrants coming to the U.S. to do business. So do you have some suggestions for the newly coming Asian businesses?
Yes. So many Asian businesses try to do the same thing. I always tell Asian people when they move here to try something different, to try something unique. and not always follow in the same direction with everyone else. It's very easy to open a restaurant. It's very easy to open a nail salon, but those are the most difficult businesses that exist in our country. So sometimes it's better to try something different. And so I always suggest to try to find an American partner, someone that sees the value of marketing to Chinese from China or from Taiwan or from Korea, and find a good partner and try to look for a business that is unique and that nobody else is doing. But I have to say, some of the Chinese people coming from China are very enterprising and don't give up.
That's great spirit. So we would like to know that in the future, do you have any, goals for your company? What do you see your company to be in the next few years? Since Asian market has, start to get more and more attention.
Well, we hope to continue to grow in the marketplace because the two biggest growing communities are Chinese and Indian. Here in Nevada, the two biggest growing communities are Chinese and Filipino. But South Asian is also growing. So we want to really expand our capabilities, not only here in the United States, but in China, so that we could be a better bridge between the immigrants that are coming here and some of the people that are going back. So I do think that it's important to have that bridge between cultures and communities, between Americans and Chinese. And we look to people like the media to help create those bridges.
Well, now again, we would like to say thank you, Mr. Imada, for being here with us today. We wish you and your company a long-lasting success in all you do.
Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
想收看更多维加斯华文短片，请浏览新闻网 lvcnn.com。谢谢。